Thank you for sharing with your friends and family, and your support helps build community and reminds everyone that conversation is truly the antidote to apathy. And if you're enjoying all of this, thanks so much for kindly rating and reviewing and following along on social media, as I'm really quite grateful. I think we all know someone in our lives that's truly enjoying the process more than the product. And while the skills and talent build up to a presentation that's probably really exciting and compelling for us, it's not actually that outcome that the performer is really in love with, but rather the process and the journey and the practice of getting there. So it was absolutely lovely to share a conversation with award-winning actor and artist Kani Kusruti, where this sentiment was endearingly on full display. Kani is from Kerala in India and has been acting there since her teen years, beginning almost reluctantly as a prompt from her own parents, who instilled a deep sense of thoughtful and progressive empowerment to own her work and choices. Soon she was growing more fond of the process, studying theater in both Kerala and in France, traveling in Europe and with an acting troupe, and then finding her way back to India for good. Her work in theater, streaming, and television, and in film have all reflected a rigor and passion for scripts and stories that showcase women finding themselves and their voice in unusual and perhaps turbulent situations. From portraying an officer on Maharani or a lighter, more comic role in OK Computer, to the transformative and powerful characters in Killer Soup, Girls Will Be Girls, and Biriyaani. Gani's on-screen, award-winning, versatile performances are inspiring for their care and precision in sharing each director's vision, and therefore magnetically attracting all of us. But in the end, she doesn't assume anything, gracefully and sharply staying focused on her artistic role in a grander storytelling process. In her latest work, playing Prabha in Payal Kapadia's All That We Imagine as Light, Kani brings to life a story of a Mumbai nurse grappling with a stagnant, unromantic relationship and finding lifelines and camaraderie through other nurses and friends to briefly escape melancholy and find some light. The film just won the Grand Prix award last month at the Cannes Film Festival, and I was so grateful for a chance to catch up with Kani to talk about it all. And especially with more accolades, I wanted to know whether the Cannes experience at all changed her relationship with the film.
Um, Actually, not really. And I think cinema is even bigger than that, always, as a medium. I think it's very extremely powerful medium.
Yeah.
For example, I have watched only one another film of mine with some of my crew member to a premiere, which happened in Trivandrum. That's the only film I went, other than Payal's film. That's the only other film of mine that I've gone. Generally, like you said, I would prefer to watch like an intimate screening with all of us, and then probably spend a day talking. And I mean, that would be really ideal and nice.
Yeah.
So when so the other film that I watched, like you said, it was a great experience because people really liked it there that time. But then it was in Trivandrum where I grew up. So a lot of people knew me personally.
Yeah.
So like I would say it was a lot. I couldn't, while watching the film, people were clapping or like people were just cheering for us. I mean, it was really nice only, but the experience of the film, the story and the film, I didn't get enough from there, though it was really like I felt like we all felt great. We were like, wow, it's so nice. But
Of course.
I had to watch that film again to really watch the film.
Yeah.
In Trivandrum. It
Yeah.
was full of love and full of cheering and everything, but still to watch the story, like I needed a certain kind of silence and everything.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh my God, if I go to this will be even bigger and too much. But oh, yes, I agree. Before the film, after the film, there were like interviews or like there were a lot of things or protocol or this and that, some absurdities or some amazing things. All this was part of it.
Yeah.
But in the theater, while watching, maybe it's the audience there, and of course they don't know me or my crew. Like Trivandrum, it's our hometown. So
yeah.
to have that is a different, and that's also great. I'm not against it. It's a great experience to have. But
Yeah.
coming back to your question, at Cannes, I did not feel it because the theater and the audience is like very mature and they're just watching the film because they are film lovers and everyone has forgotten we all are there, or very like there was only one moment to my co-actors, to Divya and to Chayaji, I had a glimpse because something we got reminded. Because I told Divya this. I said, if we are all watching together, it's going to be less of me going to watch. Maybe sometimes you will look like, remember this happened or something. But
Right.
it happened only literally twice, and that too very mildly.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I could entirely watch the film.
Right.
But again, spending time with my crew and really talking about what not and all happened. It happened very less. Another reason was we had a 10 o'clock show. By the time it finished, it was 12:30. Then there will be, of course, party, celebration and
Right.
everything, because people received it well as well.
Of
There was
course.
a standing ovation or all that.
Yeah.
But at this, still people received, but there were some other friends of mine who were actors who watched. So they wanted to talk in detail. So with my director or with my team and crew, were we able to really talk about everything we felt? It happened only very briefly because of the timing.
Yeah.
And most of us were like the next day also we had photo call in the morning. So
Yeah.
everybody had to sleep and go. So there was, then the next day was the ceremony. Like everything came like right after. So really we did not have that the time that you really think of,
Yeah.
but that did not happen to me in many films that I have worked before also.
I guess the question is that, because it won such an award and because it was so well received and everyone loved it, did it change your relationship with the film? Did it change your relationship with the film
No,
before and after?
I mean, no, absolutely not. These are two different things.
Yeah.
See, my relationship with the film is when I read the script, to the relationship with everybody in the team, to particularly Payal, and the process of how we
Yeah.
made the film. The story is so important, equally important for me, the process.
Yeah.
And all that is still there. It
Yeah.
hasn't been taken away from me because of this experience is there. It's
Yeah.
like, it's like you, in a way, for me, it is so different that it's like, imagine I had a tea today and in the evening I had a coffee. It doesn't mean that I forgot the experience of tea or it doesn't exist. It's two different things,
Right.
actually. It does
Right.
not,
It's
yeah,
not
it's
necessarily
not mutually
synchronized or
exclusive,
connected.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
for
understand.
me. Yeah.
Right. And there's certainly so much pride that came about from the awards and all around, right? Not just from the award itself, but the craft of acting, to Payal as a female filmmaker, to Malayali cinema, and Indian films as a whole. And yet, do you think it takes awards and, some of the absurdities maybe and the outside recognition to somehow bring more attention to these important domains? I'm curious, how do you reflect on that? Because again, this was something that didn't necessarily happen in India. It had to happen outside at Cannes.
Yeah. I mean, of course, I think there is see, if you do not give value to something, there is no value. For example, if nobody in this world is going to give no value for Cannes Festival, then there is no value, I think.
Right.
I think the value is built over years and the history and the curation of that festival and people being loved, the curation and the content that comes out of that part, or the stories that they choose. So the credibility of a festival and the integrity and everything built over a lot of time and history and everything. So the value has been built over, like a lot of people's work and everything. So it's
Right.
already there. So you can't take away that suddenly. It is existing. But does that really exist? Like as a person, individual, if I were to say all this value, like does money has value or not? Like it really, you make it, no? Like
Yeah.
without that, it's not there, but it is there.
Yeah.
Similarly, if Payal's film, if it did not go to Cannes or if it did not win, or it still is the same film,
Yeah. Yeah.
for me.
Because so many of those things are so valued, right? I mean, Malayali cinema and Payal being a female filmmaker, all those things are now, I imagine, magnified because of Khan. And yet there's still a long way to go to make sure that that gets magnified every day, not just because of Khan.
Absolutely. But that's what I'm saying. See, there are many other Indian films in the past years that I thought totally deserving to be in this kind of a category that Pal's film was chosen, or like whether it wins an award or not, that's again, like it depends on the jury at that time. There is so many factors like that. But at least to be chosen in this particular main competition category, I have watched other Indian films that is equally deserving, or like I felt as an audience, at least I felt, oh, this is a wonderful film. Why it's not showcased there, or why it's not showcased at Venice or Berlin, like some festival that we really love or something. But like I said, it has a long way to go, and I mean, it just because it won an award, also like I'm also still open to constructive criticism and things that people would like to say. For example, for us, the cast and crew who watched it for the first time, we had a lot of questions to pile. We're like, oh, how did that happen? Wouldn't this be nice to put it back? Why that was cut away, or oh, why this is there? Like we have so many such questions. Similarly, that is for the people who knew the script, who worked who were part of the process, and then watching the film. And we have such a comparison, no? Oh, from script, these are the things we shot. From that, you chose this. We have always such questions. As actors, we will have, why did you chose this take over that one? Like we will have all these personal, many such questions to Payal. Similarly, there'll be an audience who are completely objectively watching. They have no idea of the script or anything. They're watching it, and I would like to hear whenever it goes into different platforms, or whenever it releases. I would like to really hear from other people to see what kind of criticisms or other aspects of the film they have felt, or any constructive criticism that they can give. Like I would love to hear. It still started its journey, and it started in a way that where people really liked it there. So I'm sure there'll be some people had some other questions. I mean, we did not have such a session or had an opportunity to talk or have a discussion with people so much, but it was more of a curious questions than being. Also, there are a lot of French people or people from different part of the world were watching than Indian. So a lot of cultural nuances or certain context. Maybe they do not have the same questions like Indians may have, or they may have questions that we don't have to really explain because we entirely we know very well how it happens here. So all this is there, right? So I'm generally, like you say, like its journey just started, and I would love for the film to travel and reach many different people and to hear from them exactly how, because at the end of the day, it's Payal's film and Payal's vision and story. Even I had questions to Payal, and while I'm working in it, also I have things, and I'm still watching and observing, and there is a lot of things I love, and there are things I'm like, is this how you see it? And all this is there. So similarly, I want to know really. I want to hear from other people who watches what exactly they felt this and that, and I'm curious to know what it will be like. And that has nothing to do with its being in a certain festival or winning something or anything. Just like, because this was something we all work together. Pyle really made that point of it's an extremely collaborative work, yet she's the author. So there are so many things we negotiated, or some things she agreed, or some things she'll be like, no, Kani, this is how I want. Like all this was there. To everyone she would have, but she was very extremely open-minded in that way. And she wanted to hear our thoughts as well.
And tell me, something because of that, right? I mean, this was a really community-oriented film. It's a collaborative experience that you mentioned. Tell me something surprising to you that you discovered about yourself in working with Pyle on this film.
Yeah, for example, that's a wonderful question, because so I really loved the script, like I absolutely loved the script. Again, when I read it, for me, it's not because it had some extraordinary ideas that I have never read, or oh my God, I have a new epiphany, like that has never been on my mind that I've taken. It was not that, but it still had an epiphany, which is extremely subtle and gentle, yet like very moving and captivating of my mind, like some really beautifully written short stories. Like it transported me to a certain mood and a tonality, everything in the script. And I was always wondering, how will she translate it into a film, because this felt poetic and rather cinematic in the script. And I was like, how do you transport a language of poetry into cinema, like and so I, see, I'm an actor, but I still have a maker's mind as well. Like whenever I don't kind of understand things only as an actor. I mostly see it as like probably like a filmmaker would, like that's how my brain works. Though I've never thought of directing, no such thing, but it's just like that's how I see it always. So for me, I was like, how will it come and all that? So for me, like you said, what surprised me is like, while we were shooting, I'll be like, no, this you have written it like this. But now when we shoot, so I'll ask to Payal, like, no, Riku, like Payal's partner and our DOP, he will insist on some things, and I'm like, no, Payal, you are compromising because he's saying this, but you shouldn't. Like, or sometimes they're like, you both are a team, and sometimes Payal is like, oh, you both, like DOP and I am a team, and we are against her, or like,
Yeah.
but not fight. We had like this sweet kind of. I'm like, okay, let's shoot what Riku wants, but let's also shoot what you want, but let's shoot what I want also.
That's right.
All this, a lot of such things were there. And sometimes there were things they were going to take. I'm like, no, this can't be. All this was there.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of trust issues, like in a relationship. I'm like, I don't know what they are going to say.
Well, and even with that, let me ask you this. I mean, because
no, let me just conclude what you're
Oh,
saying.
please.
So
Yes,
finally,
yes.
when I watched it, I was like, oh my God, I totally understood what Riku was doing. And I
Yeah.
was like, fuck, I never trusted him. And I'm like, I felt, I wanted to say sorry to him. I was so surprised, like, he completely understood what Payal wants to make. And they're such a nice collaborators. Like, I
Yeah.
was like, I completely understood what he was trying to put in there. Or there were times where when Payal said things while shooting, I'll be like, Payal, you are right. When I saw the scene, you are only right. So there were a
Right.
lot of such things.
Yeah.
Then there are, of course, moments also where Payal said, Kani, I'm happy that you said to keep that. That line is making like, but she only wrote it. It's something that, see, she has written it so beautifully. I don't want
Yeah.
to take away anything out of it, actually. And even she doesn't want to, because she's the writer and director. But at the end of the day, when you have a lot of footage in the film, they still, of course, have to edit out, carve out,
Right.
take some things out. And because I'm so much married to all her scenes that is written so beautifully,
Yeah.
I want all of it. So it is probably my greedy, like so selfish that I'm like, no, Payal, please don't throw away. That is so beautifully
That's
written.
right.
But they have to make the film as it is as well, right?
Of
Like they
course.
have the. So this is one surprise, which is a very beautiful surprise.
Yeah.
Like, which is really amazing thing that I was like, I learned from that. I was like, a lot of things that I had trust. I'm like, but when I finally watched the film, I'm very glad the choices they've made. That's what I
Yeah.
felt. Yeah.
Well, and I was going to say, because it became this trusting relationship, and you really discovered that, and that kind of was a surprise if you've had trust issues before. I'm curious, what do you think she learned from you?
That you'll have to ask. I have no idea. I think I don't know, that you really have to ask Payal.
Yeah.
I'm sure she has learned either things that what she shouldn't do.
Right.
It's possible. Something she must have learned. I don't
I
know
hope
if it
so.
things that she has. Yeah, she mostly maybe she's like, what she did, I shouldn't do.
Right.
But I think
Right.
we really developed a beautiful friendship.
Yeah.
That is why, like, it has while rehearsing. So in the beginning, I was of course very. I won't say I was intimidated by her, but I very much felt she's a clear author, and
Yeah.
I wanted to give her that space and respect in terms of like able to do what she wants to do, rather me inputting my things. So I am always like that only as an actor. I
Yeah.
always consider my director as the author of the film, but she on the contrary wanted to hear all our thoughts and everything, and she would always collaborate with everybody. She
Yeah.
would want to hear us out, what is our insights on it and everything. So we all started becoming involved more and more and more. So I'll be like, no, I don't agree. So we have developed that friendship. So where the language started being, I'm like, okay, I'll do just because you want to. Otherwise, we kind of became like that. It's only
Yeah.
because she was okay with it, and she's been extremely kind and generous and
Yeah.
extremely open-minded about hearing all our thoughts. And sometimes she'd be even like, oh my God, I'm scared to tell you. If I say this, you will be angry at me. I said, Payal, you're my director. Please don't say like.
I know, right?
I'll be like, she's like, Kani, that scene, that little bit we'll have to cut. We don't have time to shoot. I'm like, no, I cannot sleep. Can we just please shoot it? Please shoot it,
Wow.
and then you decide. We
Yeah.
were like that.
And when with someone like that who you develop such a great relationship with, and it becomes a friendship and a professional relationship, when you selected and you decide on these roles, is there kind of an anatomy to the role that you have to dissect and then you put it back together? Or is it something that you have to start from scratch and then you build it and keep adding until it's whole?
Yeah. So for me, it works the other way around. I start from nothing.
Yeah.
I always want to go with nothing, because if I already have something, it's a little difficult to unlearn.
Yeah.
For me as an actor, I want to go like complete zero.
Yep.
And slowly, see, again, it depends on the time. See, if you don't have that kind of leisure of time, of course, you'll have to do a lot of homework and probably come with a lot of things,
Yep.
so that the director can just add and we have to get into shoot. But with Pile, I knew there is some time, and I want, uh, but still, even though I wanted to go with zero, I still had some idea of my interpretation and this and that from the script and everything. And if I were to interpret it in a certain way, I will be like, no, Kani, this is not. And then, so still I had to unlearn a lot of things and reinterpret it, interpret it the way. So it took me some time to understand what how Pyle is seeing this character and me, and to come with that. And now we would discuss. So it was an extremely amazing process for me. Like I've never had that opportunity in any film, I would say. That much time. Like I know there are directors who would have loved to have it, but then, you need producers who would back it up and give resources for that. All this is needed, right? So probably Pyle, it was a non-negotiable for Pyle. So it was so much of there. So coming back to your question, yes, like even though I would like to go zero and neutral, ideally, so that we slowly each building block and like to reach there. But most of the time you probably read little some scenes for an audition if there is an audition. If no audition, you read the script, or after audition, once you're confirmed, you are going to read the entire script. When you read the entire script, you have your own interpretation of the story, character, and everything, and then you go with that. When we do a scene, that will be there, and then even in other shoots, director will have to sometimes make you understand that's not what I see, or this and that can happen, which is nice only, I think, because that should happen. Instead, director just trusting the actor's interpretation entirely, because they also have a vision of their own story. And Payal and we all had the time to really work on it as much as we could. Still, I mean, I would have liked some 10 days more, but yeah.
Well, I'm curious. Are you someone who then craves that kind of feedback? I mean, how do you measure the success of your steps, right? Because, see, in other disciplines, you're constantly getting feedback, and the director's certainly getting you this, but then even after you've built that role, your idea of the success might be completely different from what the director's is. So how do you measure your own success, not just in this film?
So
but
I don't know what is success exactly. What do you
Right.
mean by that?
I mean, in a way, how do you know you're doing a good job? Is it something that you feel
Correct.
inherently?
Yeah, for me, what I feel is where I measure it. So for me, when people compliment me or criticize me, both may not really go inside me so well, unless it's a close friend of mine who keenly watches all my work, or generally acting and film in depth, that and we speak a language common, that I completely understand what they say.
Right.
In there, when there's a compliment also, sometimes I can take, or if there is a criticism also I can take, and or my fellow co-actors, not all co-actors, but some of them, who we work for a longer period of time in theater or in film, and we all watch different films. Sometimes we watch each other's work, and then we clearly pinpoint. Then also I can take it and I understand. And if they sometimes contribute something that I have not seen myself, then of course it's something I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I have started learning this thing or something. Okay, there is some improvement in here, or some things. Oh, I had it better before. Now I'm losing it, or things like this we observe. Then I think at Khan is particularly something that which I cherished the most, and I was very happy, was there were other actors from different part of the world who has watched our film. They would come up to me, or other actors as well, I think, and they will really notice the nuance, some things that we put in, because everybody has their own process and rigorous practice and everything for years. And I might be at a certain point in my life where I'm probably doing some tiny things. It's not even like I'm not saying some drastic big things, but some things maybe I am paying attention to or something. And other actors from different part of the world noticing that was something really nice, I thought, because they are also in that journey. And some of them like, I know, like, all of you are good, but you did this, that, there.
Right.
I know that. Like, I'm like,
noticed.
wow, like, it's like we are in the same class. Like, I suddenly found a person who is also in the same journey, and they're probably in the same place as mine, in a different part of the world, in entirely interacting with different people, but we get to watch each other's performance and we recognize where is your craft at this point or something. This is something which was very unique to this festival experience that I've had. But this happens to me with my theater actors or my actor friends who are in Kerala. It happens to me and to them. We all very keenly observe but it never happened to me in a festival from extreme strangers, but actors. That has never happened to me before. So generally, people just compliment. These were like very nuanced observations, which I valued a lot, or still values. Yeah.
Right. I'm curious about one thing for sure, and that is that I've read that you've never had a real inherent passion for acting,
Yeah.
but that your true passion is in the practice and the process of it. So is this where you feel most at home? Do you have to get beyond the kind of initial discomfort of the acting role to then trust the process and really get into the practice and the team and the director for you to feel more at home because of that real love for the practice itself?
Yeah. So,
I hope that makes sense.
yeah, I'm just, yeah. So, see, the thing is, there is other passions I have. Like, for example, I love dance or music, or I also love like architectural study. So, like, there are different
Yeah,
other passions, but even there, I love process. So,
right.
it's not too. I don't think because it was not my passion is why I'm falling into the process and enjoying that most. Not necessarily. It's probably my personality. Like even things for I have passion. Like I really truly love dance. Like love it,
Yeah,
and I've always loved the practice days rather than rather the performance days. Like I love keep practicing the same thing again and again and again and correcting. It's like something like I get a lot of pleasure out of it.
right.
For example. So for me personally, I don't think it's because of the lack of my passion for acting is why I am falling into. I don't think so, because other things that I have passion for also, I truly enjoy the process. I think that's why it is my passion. And acting also, I think it slowly became something that I like. Is naturally then I will like the process as well, right? Like it's something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
is this because the methods are sometimes very different? Is this at all different when it comes to theater? And you're doing different kinds of disciplines. I've read you've talked a little bit about Navrasa sadhana and versus film and OTT, where kind of feeling at home with that practice is just different. It's a different method, perhaps, or maybe it's not a different method.
Again, I am an actor who doesn't go with like one method and put my method into the whoever I work with,
Yeah,
unless I make a solo of myself or I am directing and writing and acting in a film.
right.
Because both films and theater that I have worked with so far are collaborative processes where there is a director, writer, maybe directors and writers are the same, and then there are actors, and at the same time, most uh, directors that I've worked with, all of them are collaborators in terms of they're open minded. Doesn't mean that they will just do anything we say. No, they have a clear vision, but they will, like most directors I worked with. But then there are directors there is no such space. They really
Yeah,
know what they want. We just have to do that. So
yeah,
as an actor, and then there are co-actors who comes from different disciplines and different practices and
mm,
different approach to getting into a character and everything. So I go with an open mind. With I look at my director, I look at my co-actors, we talk, when we do, I learn with them what is the approach I should take in that particular project.
yeah.
So I don't have a fixed method or fixed approach to everything I do.
Sure,
I'm completely fluid there, and uh, uh, otherwise, then it can create tensions in a way that it may not be easy for me to get into my thing. I just
sure.
want to be open there so that it slowly. Then there are process where I'll be like, I was really happy in this process,
Yeah,
or I was the most at my comfort in this. Here, I had to let go of very few things. I could just be, and my process also worked. Everyone's so there are those differences. There are directors where I will feel, oh, I would love to work with them again, because
yeah,
then there are directors that I'm like, okay, I had to really be extremely make me like this much so that I could work with this actors or director. So that is there, but I still try to go with kind of extremely open mind and fluidity, and slowly learn from and talk and observe and give and take and slowly understand what's the approach and process I could take. And within a film also, for some scenes and some days, we have to completely change as well, because suddenly there can be, maybe we have a plenty of generally imagine there are days where we have so much time to get into a scene or things like that, and there can be suddenly a day we have this location only for 2 hours. We have to then you have to just be precise and just get, like, so even within a film, these things can change, the approach and everything can change. So yeah.
And maybe because you have that fluid approach, maybe that's actually a formula for more longevity, so that you can actually be very, very much of a someone who kind of rolls with, look, this is the difference that I have to make in this, with this team, with this director, with these set of co-actors.
Yeah.
And is that a formula for longevity for you, you think?
I don't know. I also think most actors are like me. I think very few actors probably. I think we actors tend to be this, I think, naturally, because it is one requirement to be an actor, I guess, because you are never just going and doing your thing.
Right.
See, stars can be different because people love them for what they do, and people are going to watch them for what they do,
Yeah.
And it's possible that they will do what they want to do and everyone else work around it. Probably it's possible. I'm not saying always it happens.
Sure.
But with actors, I think that is one thing. It's not unique to me. I think it's most of actors who work in different medium. See, if it's just a certain practitioner, like for example, Venuji's daughter, who's my dear friend as well, Kapila, she mostly work in her form, which is Kudiyatam. Very rarely she has worked in a theater form and everything, but she sometimes shares with me that because it's a form and she's constantly practicing that one form and of one stylized acting, and that's her journey of bettering that and making it her own. And then there are actors where they may work in theater, then films, or like, and different directors to begin with. And even if you're just doing films and different directors, you end up working and different stories, different genre, different acting styles. I think it's absolutely not unique to me. I think maybe longevity is there. Maybe it's a byproduct. That is a different thing. But I don't think anybody's thinking that. It's just that's the only way you can work, I think.
Right. It's more instinctive. And because you then can take those things, and you again are fluid, and you have that shape shifting, and you're able to adapt a lot better. Does it also allow you to, because of your experiences, take more risks with things and be innovative and actually feel like you can actually be more of yourself in a role?
I don't think what I meant by fluidity means I am relying on my instinct things in portraying a character. That's not what I meant.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
In fact, I do not. That is the last thing when you have nothing else to, is when I fall into that.
Okay.
That's not what I meant at all. That's what I meant is to have an open-mindedness to your crafts. You cannot hold on to one craft of yours, or you cannot hold on to one intuitiveness of yours to fall into acting all your life. Then it will be extremely boring. At least for me, actors who fall into only intuitive things, one film, say 2 film, 3rd film, I'll be bored by their acting. And and including me, I'll be bored by my acting as well. And I have been bored by acting wherever I have fallen on into intuitive things.
Yeah.
I absolutely is against actors falling into just intuitive and I just did it. No. Of course, some extremely talented actors can say this because they may not have to put in the hard work that other actors do. Like even a great singer, like amazing range with amazing craft, born that they have the talent. Maybe they don't need to go study because they are already producing amazing stuff with their craft and range and voice. Similarly, actors who are extremely talented and already by birth they have it, without putting that much amount of craft, they may still excel in a certain way. But then there are actors with maybe not that much talent, but they have to put in a lot of hard work to reach where they are. So similarly in every craft, I believe. But imagine that with that much talent, if those actors or singers to be put in hard work, they will even reach, like, you cannot imagine the level. And there are artists like that as well, who excel and rigorously practice their craft so meticulously that their range itself goes exponentially like
out there.
in a
Yeah.
blow, like, yeah.
Yes.
So what I meant by fluidity is not like I'll just go and I'll just listen to my intuitive and act. No, that's not
Yeah,
what I meant.
yeah.
I am an actor who practices. I have different of craft, so much of craft, and so many different teachers. And as much as like, of course, you can't learn 100 different crafts. You don't in this lifetime. It's not easy.
Yeah.
But whatever I could, even if it's 2 or 3 different approach, that
Yeah.
3 I need to practice in my life. Other time, not when I go to act in that film, but when I sit at home and when I'm waiting for work, when I take a break, or when in the morning, like you do everything else, like you kind of maintain your body or everything else, you have to train your mind and voice and everything to be prepared to be able to get into acting or character. That's what I believe. I think actors need discipline, like any other job will need discipline if you want to put in that thing. So in that, what I meant is, it is possible that I have one certain approach that I learned, one craft that I have learned, and if I go with only that one craft, and my director does not want me to do it because there is being a conflict, I should be open minded to let go of that craft,
Right.
and to either try to be open to what that person is proposing or what my co-actors actors are proposing, or to have different crafts to put in, able that is helping me to work with them. So what I meant is not just relying on my intuitive. Absolutely not. In fact, I absolutely is against that.
Yeah.
Your intuitiveness you should keep. That should be an added, it's like a garnishing thing on top of your craft. It can't be the entire thing that you are relying on.
Right.
Yeah. So what I was coming to is like, I don't have a strong one method that I am obsessively following and I will only do that. That's not what I meant is like, as much as I can learn, I learn, I practice, I observe other actors like any other actors will do.
Of course.
And when you see a director, when we work with them, we know what is the approach they would like to have with this. Some directors may want only intuitive things. They may say, don't think, I don't want anything. You just go in, that's all I want. Okay, maybe in that particular project, I will have to rely on only my intuitive things, which is also okay. But then there can be director who would say, no, Kani, we will rehearse this probably 500 times and I want this precision. You cannot follow into your intuitive thing. There is something else you will have to follow. Plus, maybe your intuitiveness may come on top of that.
Right.
But so that's what I'm saying. What I meant by fluidity is like having that approach of multidisciplinary crafts that you may end up learning in your lifetime, and also be open-minded with other actors who are they are doing, and to be able to be spontaneous also, all also to have intuitiveness, also to have your craft. All this put together is what I meant. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that obviously you've had the experience now to really understand and appreciate and practice that, quite a bit. We know when you reflect on playing Prabha or being in, a project like Biriyaani or Girls Will Be Girls, there's such an open book on the variety of roles and all the empowerment, especially storytelling for women. So, how does these kinds of experiences in storytelling, how do you think they should be accelerated, especially to a place where women in Indian film can hold more levers of power to make sure that these projects get funded, they get told, they get, made, and what does it take to get to that kind of place?
I'm not talking from an aspect of an actor or anything. I feel a void of humorous women, for example, in terms of character.
Yeah.
Where is this? Where is, like I find Indians plus particularly Kerala people, no matter what gender they are, we are very humorous and we look at things in satire, always like being, smirking and this and that. We self critics and make fun of themselves for whatever they. So we have this, and I always see when I see stories or films, I don't see so many women characters. Male characters I see in Kerala, so different films. But so when you're coming to, of course, these films you've said is different and everything, but I still lack a lot of wit. I mean, at least Payal's and Shuchi's film has a very small bit, and here and there it has it. I won't say it won't have it. It has it.
Right.
But I would want an entire in and out different comedies, not just one commercial mainstream film comedy, but like all kinds of. Sometimes Sridevi, the actor Sridevi, some of her characters had a wit to her character, which I used to love. Similarly, in Kerala and in South, I would say way more than even Sridevi, Urvashi, these actors we had.
Yes.
All her characters had a wit, and even when there is, if it's melancholic, also there is a lightness to life, and so many such different. So I don't know if I'm answering to your particular question, but when you say all this powerful and all that, that is something that I find more powerful.
Yeah.
Or something that I'm missing for a long period of time. And I think such content has to be created, and then of course actors should be able to then act and everything. That's when that is when I'll feel, wow, what a range. And it's not about me acting or some actor should reach. No, I'm just saying, I'm seeing it as in a whole, like how our literature, culture, and cinema and everything is putting into portraying different women,
Yeah.
even men, like, like at least some male characters in Malayalam cinema these days we see differently.
Yeah.
Similarly, at least Urvashi ma'am's time, she had, I mean, it may have a lot of political aspect problem and everything,
Sure.
but if I'm not addressing that, she as an actor, I thought as a lead, like a heroine or whatever, she had a lot of, she herself is an amazing actor to begin with.
Yeah.
But even otherwise, there were characters written so amazingly for her, and even not even just lead roles, other actors at that time, like Philomena, or a lot of actors like KP Lalitha or like Sukumari, or like all these uh, women back then
Yeah.
had characters that is witty and humorous and so straightforward, like things that we are like, yeah, these are also women, they are not always
Yeah.
crying and sad and serious and this and that. They are like, we are like, okay, let's watch a film and then, like we'll chill over it. Like,
Yeah.
I miss that.
I
That
guess
womanhood I really truly miss.
And I guess when you describe this, and it's such a beautiful, blend of the history, and then it's also a gap, right? You recognize that this is something you'd like to see more of. And I imagine an idea like this, it takes somebody who has the power and really the finances and the ability to have some vision to say, yes, I
Yeah.
think this is a story that must be told. And, there are lots of forces that also work against that in the film industry, I imagine. So is it just mean that more women need to be writing this and more women need to be directing
No,
this?
I don't think it has to be women writers. It can
Yeah.
be any right. It just have to be good writers.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with gender. It has to be just good writers thinking in the right way.
Yeah.
I mean, there are good writers. We have a lot of amazing writers, I think. It's not probably knowingly, no, unknowingly, whatever. Like I lack a lot of humorous women characters in
Yeah.
the whole stories as well. Like,
So
yeah.
it really just needs more people to understand that these are stories that need to be told,
Yeah,
period.
like I said, it's maybe not even knowingly, it just didn't happen, but it's an observation,
Yeah.
is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, one final thought with this, because this is also fascinating, but there may be people now who are discovering you as Prabha, or seeing you in the theater or online in some of your roles, and they might be discovering you for the first time. When they're experiencing now your performances and your art, what questions do you hope that they're asking themselves, and how do you hope they feel?
You don't have this. This particular question you asked, I'm not even thinking like this, that somebody watched me for. I'm not thinking only like this, so I don't know how to answer this.
If someone walks away and they said, "Wow, I discovered this wonderful new actor," what do you hope that they're asking next? How do you hope they feel after they see something that you've done?
I mean, yeah. So as an actor, I would say, see, sometimes when you watch somebody for the first time, and it's very easy to impress anyone, I think.
Yeah.
And it is, for an actor's job is to keep giving, like I said, see, if you rely on a lot of these things, I mean, I find me mostly boring in many things, because when you keep doing, ideally I would like to do one film a year, not more than that. I think that is the only caliber I have, so that I can put in everything in it and make it interesting
Yeah.
than what I did before. But of course, for your survival or whatever, like you end up doing many things, and of course you're not putting enough work into each of your work, so it it can turn into, like, I don't know, something you do always kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
almost monotonous.
of course, like coming back to a question, like if someone who finds me interesting always, then I'm like, okay, to at least to that particular person, I'm interesting enough. Again, like I said, I'm an extremely like self-critic person, so I can see when I'm like, this is not right, yeah,
Yeah.
or I'm doing the same thing or this and that. Sometimes it's not entirely in my hand or like an actor's hand, because sometimes it's possible director would say, no, Kani, I don't want this interpretation. I want you to do the same thing that you did in that. So
Yeah.
you end up have to do the same thing, which is quite challenging. Sometimes you can't explain this to an audience. You'll be like, why you did the same thing? And I'm like, I can't tell that, oh, that's what my director wanted. I can't really say that also.
Right.
Or so that is a little tricky part for an actor. But if it's possible, of course, to make them feel every time they watch me as an actor or any actor for that matter, is to be like, wow, now what they did, like, you know.
Yeah.
So of course that is the challenge. To impress somebody in the first 2 3 film or first film is not that difficult actually. It's in
Yeah.
in a way everyone may like you only. Like it's mostly people like you. Yeah.
I wonder if it's something that you hope that they keep asking different questions, perhaps even every single time that they watch you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
It's not about nobody asks. I mean, if they don't ask, people generally just comment on how you did or something.
yeah.
Nobody asking a specific question or anything. Like
Maybe they're
sometimes
asking.
people say something like this. It's nothing to do with their watching. They're like, hey, why don't you do more Malayalam film? Or sometimes they would say, why don't you do something comical? Because we watched you in OK Computer, we would like to see you like that, or things like that. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally not something that I'm making. It has to come to me for me to choose. It's not something that I'm choosing to not do, basically.
Yeah.
So no, there is no questions. I have not observed anything, or I'm not able to imagine anything like that. Yeah.
And I wonder if when they are done or either experiencing for the first time or they keep experiencing your work, hopefully that they're feeling like they want more and that they were very satisfied with what they received, but that they're craving something new then next.
Actually, I do. I don't even think like people should feel like, oh, they want to see more. Like I'm glad, like when I see Urvashi or Jakati or actors like that, I feel like I want more, and I sometimes feel I want him to live 1,000 years if possible, so that I get to watch him a lot. Like I do feel this, but objectively, to me as an actor, I don't have that kind of a caliber. I don't want me to also do a lot. I know my caliber is this much, that much only. Even if I push, there is a limit to it. I can see it. Because, like I said, I don't think I'm so talented in this. It's not my thing. I happen
Yeah.
to be an actor. I'm probably hardworking, hence I'm here, is what I think. So, within that, what I would like is not even me getting more. I'm just thinking, I wish I get some diversity in things so that probably how much or I can do, I'll be able to do that much only. It's not about even I should be doing more or anything. There are actors who I genuinely think I wish they will really live more, so that I would love to watch them more. But I don't think it's for all actors also, like any other job again,
Yeah.
There is not always visionaries in every job. Like there can be one visionary comes in 100 years and who we genuinely can wish they live longer because they contribute way more.
Yeah.
And in acting, there are actors in India, in Kerala, in the world that I genuinely feel I wish they lived longer than a human's lifetime, because they genuinely contribute way more than an average out. And I really objectively, I'm not being humble, belong to the average career. I'm not an extraordinary, because I've seen extraordinary actors and I know the potential of theirs. So for me, I would say I'll be happy if I get some diverse characters as much as I can do. That much only I see. Yeah.
Well, no matter how you feel about that, I know that people are watching you and they're enjoying your work. And more than anything else, you're bringing such great recognition to women, to Kerala, to Malayali film, and of course to your craft.
That is entirely a teamwork. And I know, like I said, I know if I was not part of Payal's film, there are at least a number of actors who I know who will be able to do the same thing or way more than I did to bring into this, and they will still make me also feel the same, because I see a lot of amazing female actors and who are talented and also have a certain sisterhood feeling, and they will bring the same recognition. But Payal, I would say, not maybe many are there in
Yeah.
India.
Yeah.
Being a director and writer and to be able to pull off that, we don't have many. But actors, there are. This is really, again, what I see. Yeah.
Well, we're still delighted. Kani, thank you so much.
No, I will not let you say it.
I have to tell you that this has been such a wonderful and fascinating conversation. I've learned a lot, and I hope our listeners too. Thank you so much for joining us. This was really a treat, and I hope we can visit with you again down the line.
Yeah, maybe. Thank you so much. I mean, I also had a good time. Yeah.
I appreciate that. You're listening to
Yeah.
Trust Me, I Know What I'm Doing.